Just like 10 more hours. Oh, can you make me some? And this time without the kibble, okay? Hello filmmakers, Ash here, and welcome to Film It Yourself. A few of you have requested that I do a video on how I edit my videos, so well, here we are. Shortest intro ever, so let's get into it. Now, first up, I already did all of my pre-editing setup work, so if you're interested in how I organize and sync my files, check out this video here. Or maybe over here, one of those. So after you watch that video, come back here and see how I actually edit my video after I have it all set up. So I'm gonna use my Zoom lighting video as an example here, and you can see here I have it completely already edited and everything, just so you could see the different layers that I have here going on, and this is what we will end up with. But I just wanted to give you a look at the video really quick before we start. You can see I have my normal intro here with Spence, and then I have my intro graphic, and then it goes into the video with B-roll, and there's close-up shots of gear later on as well. So let's break down how I do this. So here I have a blank sequence, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to bring in the footage, which is commonly called A-roll footage, and that is the footage of me talking to camera. So I'm gonna go up to my footage folder, and I'm going to go to my labeled clips, and I'm going to look for 0804 stand-up and bring it in here. And I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see. I use the Tascam Lav, and so it records 2 tracks of audios, and then there's just 2 empty tracks. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to delete these because I don't need them. I just need the main audio track. So there we go. So now I have my main sequence of me talking to camera in my timeline. And I'm just gonna push it down because I'm going to actually edit that later, but I just like to pop it in first. So next, before I start editing, I'm actually going to look for the intro B-roll clip of me and Spence at the kitchen table. And if I were a good assistant editor, I would have labeled it and dropped it into my labeled clips folder here, but I was lazy and I didn't, so it's in my card 8 folder here in my footage folder. So I'm just gonna grab it. I know it's the second take here. There we go. So this footage was shot 4K, and it was actually shot on my new Blackmagic Cinema Pocket 6K blah 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 camera. That's the official name. Because it was 4K, I'm going to bring it down to 50% so that it'll actually fit here. And also, because it was 4K and shot on the Blackmagic, you will see here that it is shot in log, which gives you footage that looks like this. It's very like washed out and gray and neutral, and nothing's very saturated. And I have a whole video about why you would want to shoot in log, so check that out here, or maybe it's over here. I'm not sure. I'm in a new spot. So here? I think here. And that video will tell you all about log and why you would want to shoot in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this. So first I can tell that I need to bring up my audio. So I'm going to raise my audio by about 10. So I gave it a 10 dB gain, and let's see here.
Okay, rolling. We're gonna do this.
All right, this is just the beginning junk of us getting ready. And I'm pretty sure because, here we go. Right there. So the clip actually starts there. So I'm gonna cut there and delete all that. And I usually put in like a nice little audio fade, so the audio fades in at the beginning of the clip.
Oh, hey, what are you doing?
Okay, so a trick I like to do when shooting my videos is I shoot 4K and I edit in 1080, and this allows me to punch in and make it look like I have several different camera angles. So right here I say,
oh, hey, what are you doing?
So it might be nice to cut to Spence. So what I would do is I would cut here.
Oh, you have,
and then maybe I'd cut back to me here. And then we would zoom into Spence. Let's say, let's try 100%, see what that looks like. Okay, great. And we'll just sort of reposition him here. And so there's a great Spence close-up. I do sometimes shoot a close-up of him with a second camera, but yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was lazy this day and I didn't. So there you go. So I have this close-up of Spence.
Oh, you have that Zoom meeting today, don't you? Here, let me hook you up.
So it might be good to cut to me for a close-up there too. So I'll just take a little edit and we will again do 100% and punch in, move it around. The beauty of 4K. All right. And you can see I'm not punching in more than 100% because then I would lose quality. So.
Oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you have that Zoom meeting today, don't you? Here, let me hook you up.
So there you go. You can see that that totally works. And I would basically do that for this whole opening sequence until the end. Kiss him, leave, and then he leaves. All right, and that's the end of the scene. So I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch me do that for this whole sequence, but I would go through and do that for this whole scene, doing close-ups for both me and Spence. If I had a product, I would do a close-up of the product. You know, you get the idea. And so the next thing I would do is I would go to my music folder. Now I have various different music clips that I have collected. So I have some from Bryce, I have some from Envato, I have some from Pond 5 and some from YouTube. So I think my Pond 5 is where I have all of my like quirky little fun songs for the intro. So let's test this one out and see what it sounds like. Yeah, so that sounds pretty good. So I'll just take a little bit of that. And I like to, you know, some of you might be saying, what, you're already putting in music? I like to edit to the music. So I often like to choose the music sooner rather than later and drop it in and edit to it. This is something that was like hammered into me when I was editing the reality TV show Full Custom Garage. I edited several seasons of that show, and the director was always like, you know, put the cuts on the beats. And it really helps. It helps give like energy to your piece, and like it really gives it like, it makes it feel alive, and it's an unconscious thing for the viewer. I don't think the viewer realizes that the edits are on the beat, but it definitely gives like a nice rhythm and driving feeling to your music, which, you know, was really great because it was a car show. Yes, that was a dad joke. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I would then go to the end of the song and I kind of do an edit to make the song as long as I need it. So I'm just gonna grab the end of the song here and bring it down here. Okay, and now I'm going to copy this and then paste attributes. I'm gonna paste the volume, so that way it matches. And then let's do a music edit by soloing this track. So right there is probably where we're gonna wanna edit it. And then let's see this one. Yep. So I really know this song, but I recommend that if you are doing a music edit, listen to the song and listen to where the music is repeating a section, and that's the easiest place to do an edit and cut things together. So that's basically what's happening right there, and I'm going to just slide it over and add a little, I like to add a little crossfade of just 2 frames, and this helps smooth it out. And let's give it a listen. Yeah, totally works. Okay, great. So now that I have that, I would go through and I would edit the rest of the sequence. And I usually like to have the last final note of the song hit at like a good moment, a finale feeling moment. So let's see if it does that.
Go. Great. Now you're gonna look awesome for your cat chasers anonymous meeting. All right, love you. Have a good one. Mwah.
So yeah, I kind of wrap it up and I say goodbye to Spence there. I could also have it end like more here, and that would work too.
Mwah.
that works as well. So it just depends on how you want it. So the next thing I would do here is I would actually grab my intro graphic, and what I normally do is I just grab it from another sequence that I already edited because it's already the audio level that I want. And then I also I have these cool push transitions, I'm sure you've seen them, along with the whoosh sound effect. So I just like to grab those all together, copy that, come over here, and I'm going to, let's say we end the scene here. I'm gonna paste it in, oop, there we go. We wanna make sure both these tracks are available. That's why it was overrid the audio at the bottom. So now, there we go, I pasted it, it's not gonna overwrite it. And let's see how this looks. Just move it over a little bit.
Love you, have a good one. Mwah.
Perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna trim this down, and I will move these down just a little bit, and there we go. So the next step in my editing process is now I'm going to edit the A-roll. And remember, the A-roll I pulled into my clip already is all the way down here. And this is the footage of me talking to camera. So A-roll is like if you're shooting a documentary, it's all of the interview footage. It's the main footage that's driving the story, and B-roll is all the extra footage that you put on top. So I like to start with the A-roll because that makes sense. And so let's bring this over, and I can see right away that my audio levels are kind of low. So again, I'm just gonna add some audio gain. Let's try 10 again. That looks good. It looks like it might peak here, but we might be okay. And it looks like it's just me coughing. So it doesn't matter anyway. So the other thing I like to do is I can usually read waveforms, and what I mean by that is you can see here there's like a large gap here, so I probably went back and redid something, so I can very quickly see that in the waveforms, and I can just see where did I pick up from here. We'll just cut it here.
Plus, it allows you to dial in exact color temperature and dim the light.
Okay, so let's see if that's around here.
This aperture MC light right here. It's super small, and I found that it holds a charge for up to 30 hours. Plus, it allows you to dial in.
So right there, we could just quickly edit all of that out. So that's something I like to do. I like to go through and like quickly edit out large chunks. Or another thing I will do is I will just edit sequentially as well.
Hello, filmmaker.
But editing those large chunks out first can really help save time. Because if you're sitting here and you're like switching angles, because this is, it's not multicam, but it is set up to be multicam. If you're sitting there and you're switching between multicam angles and whatnot, it can really save you time if you get like a minute down and you're like, oh, they started over. They started this whole sequence over. So it can be helpful. So like right here, let's see.
Hello, filmmakers app
versus
hello.
So there we go. Right away, we can save a lot of time. Let me turn these tracks on. There we go. And delete that. So then I'm gonna bring this over. And I usually like to edit it right before I take the breath, the first breath there, and bring it right up to here. And so these transitions I have are pretty cool. I don't remember where I got them, but I will put a link to it in the description below. I think I got them on Envato, but they're just these cool push transitions, and it's just a layer that you put on top of your footage, and it just automatically works, which is really useful. So you can just copy and paste it anytime you need it, which is great. So now we go from the intro graphic, which I would also turn this audio off, so fade the audio out.
Good one. Mwah. Hello, filmmakers. Ash here.
So there you go. We're into the A-roll.
Welcome to Film It Yourself.
Okay, and then I would probably change angle here, and I will just option or command click on this so that you can see. So this again is part of that video where I show you all of my setup I do before I begin editing, but I take my 4K footage and I basically make a multicam sequence out of it, so that way I can have a wide angle, close up, and then this is going to be the product shot. So it's all one shot again, it's the 4K shot, but it looks like it's multiple angles, which is great. So what you can do is once you set up a multicam sequence, you can right click on it in your timeline, and then you can switch cameras by going to multi-camera and down to the camera you want. So there you go, boom.
To film it yourself. Nowadays, it feels like we spend our whole life on Zoom. It's how we connect with friends, and for some of us, even how we work. I mean, right now, my entire job is remote directing.
Okay, so right there, I know right now my entire job is remote directing is where I'm going to have some B-roll. So I shot some B-roll of me directing at my computer. Not at my camera. I mean, normally I direct at my camera, but nowadays I direct at my computer. All right, so B-roll shot. I have it right here. I have it labeled. So I load it here in my source monitor. I'm just gonna scrub through it till I find a good spot. So here we go. Here's me looking like I'm directing. So I set an in and an out point, and I'm gonna bring it in. And again, this was shot 4K, so I'm going to go to the effects controls and I'm going to bring it down 50%. There we go. Now it fits to frame. And maybe I want a slight push in, maybe it'd be fun. So here I'm going to click scale and put a keyframe here. And then I'm gonna go to the end of the clip and click the keyframe button again. And I'm just going to make this just 5 points bigger, so 55. So now it slowly pushes in.
I mean, right now, my entire job is remote directing while I'm on Zoom all day long.
So I probably want that shot to go all the way to here, so I'm gonna extend it, and then I'm just gonna drag the keyframe over so that it goes the whole time.
Work. I mean, right now, my entire job is remote directing while I'm on Zoom all day long. And
oh, Bryce walked into the frame. Well, not in the frame, but he walked into the living room while I was recording this shot. Thus the funny face. Anyway, you get the idea though. And then what I do is I grab this cool push transition that I have, and I'm gonna slide it on over and line it up. And you'll see here,
work. I mean,
it just automatically does a push transition, which is so cool. But I do need to manually put in the whoosh sound effect. So what I like to do is I have a bunch of whoosh sound effects that I've collected over the years, but I like to cut them up and put them in a timeline so they're easy for me to quickly grab, and I just call my timeline whooshes. And so I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just gonna grab this one, and I will unselect this track because I don't want it to override it, and I will paste, and there you go. And so it's really quick. I can just quickly tab over here. Next time I need a whoosh sound effect, I can grab the next one. And this way they're all different and it's not the same sound over and over and over again. So
how we work. I mean, right now,
there you go. So then I would do the same thing for the other side of the clip. All right, grab another whoosh sound effect. And boom, there we go. So I would go through my A-roll, and I would actually, I guess I kind of jumped ahead of myself. I actually would go through my A-roll and I would cut the whole A-roll first. So I would edit all of this without putting the B-roll over it. And I would edit it and get it tight and change camera angles and everything through the multicam thing that I showed you. And then after I edited that, then I would go back through once it's all edited, and then I go in and I put in the B-roll and I do the whoosh sound effects and everything. And then once all of that is edited, that is when I would start putting in music. So I'll switch over here. You can see this is the full edited sequence, and it has sound effects, the whoosh sound effects. Sometimes I do a ding sound effect when I thumbs up. And down here on track 5 and 6, I have my music tracks. So you can see I have it here, I have it on track 4. So what I would do is let's just go back to my music, and I tend to like the Envato music for the main tracks because they have a lot of really great synthwave stuff. So let's see here. Oh yeah, you've heard this song. And I'm gonna bring it down and put it on track 4. And I'm just gonna line it up so that after the push, a little bit after the push it starts. So that's good, but it's obviously way too loud. So I'm gonna bring it down. I usually like to bring it down to -21. And then I also like to go to the audio gain and bring that down 10. Now you're saying, Ash, couldn't you just bring that down to -31? And the answer is yes. Why do I do it this way? I don't know. I just do. I think because then the levels are always consistent and then I adjust the gain up or down if I need to. I don't really have a good reason. This is just what I do. You could totally just lower the volume to -31, or you could just lower the gain, you know, -30 or whatever you wanted. Whatever works for you. You just want to make sure that the gain audio is not overpowering the dialogue. So let's see how it is.
Hello filmmakers, Ash here, and welcome to Film It Yourself. Nowadays, it feels like we spend our whole life on Zoom. It's how we connect with.
So there we go. That's pretty good. It's not too loud. It's not overpowering. I will say I do know with this song, it kicks in over here. Like it gets a little louder. So I'm just gonna pull that down just a little bit so that way it stays kind of consistent through the whole song. Sorry, composer, whoever wrote this track. Anyway, so you can see here.
From bad lighting and unflattering camera angles at first.
There we go. So it doesn't get too loud. You can see in the audio wave files there, it gets a bit louder. So yeah, so then I would go through and I would put audio tracks and I checkerboard them. And checkerboarding is when you put one track above another. And the reason I do that is because a lot of these songs have a really great like slow fade out. And I often want the next song to come in before the first song has finished fading out. So here, I'll just solo this so that you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. So you can hear how the other song comes in there. It's kind of quiet. Hopefully you could hear it, but it just helps sort of like make the music flow from one track to the other. Okay, so I just sort of fast forward here. This is what the sequence would look like edited. So now I've edited all the A-roll. There's B-roll clips above the A-roll that you can see there. And then the final step that I would do here is I would grab my outro bumper, just like my intro graphic, and I would put it here at the end and just make sure that it comes in at a good time.
Such a prima donna.
So yeah, that's great. And another thing I do is I basically already showed you in the beginning, but I also would do music edits to make sure that the music is timed in appropriately. So this last song was too long, so I had to shorten it to make it fit here and end when I wanted it to end. So you can see that there. So it's all edited. It looks good. Let's pretend that all the whooshes and the sound effects are in there. The next step I would do is I would color correct. So I'm not gonna go through a whole long process showing you how to color correct because I have done that before. I have a video for it. It's right here. So if you want to see more about the whole process I go through for color correcting, you can there. But I'll just very quickly show you what I do for color correction. So I'm going to grab this adjustment layer and I'm going to bring it down here and make it the length of this clip. So because this clip is the same clip, because it's 4K clip, the close-up and the wide, same footage, so we can put it over all of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to effects, my favorite, because I made a favorite bin and I put Lumetri color in there, and I'm just going to drag Lumetri color down. If you don't have a favorite bin, you can just search Lumetri color here and find it that way. And then I'm going to go to effects control, and here's Lumetri color. I'm going to go down to basic correction, and I'm just going to take this eyedropper tool and just generally click the back wall. Now, I know that this is not the best white balance, so I'm not gonna stick with that. You can see it did -26, so it really made it blue. So I'm gonna cut that in about half and try 13. Yeah, 13 looks good. What I find is if you have a white thing in frame, It's not gonna be perfect with the eyedropper, but it'll get you in the ballpark, and then you can adjust it by eye. So I adjusted that. It gave me a nice -2 tint, so it's taking some magenta out of the frame that I have here. And so the other things I like to do is I like to just do -5 on the blacks to kind of make them a little richer and deeper. And I like to, normally I bring down the highlights, but this actually doesn't look that bright. The other thing I would do is I would totally have the Lumetri scopes up while color correcting, but just for the purposes of this, I don't have them up at the moment. But I like to sort of raise the whites a little bit, and then I also like to sort of give it a little bit more saturation. That could be a lot. Let's see, let's get those scopes up actually. Where are my scopes? They're over here, hold on. Here they are. Good. So we're not oversaturated. That's great. You can see that maybe we could raise the exposure a little bit. It looks like I'm sitting down around 60, and normally you want skin tones of lighter skinned people to be around 75. So let's raise the exposure by 0.2. Not bad. We could maybe even do 0.4. There we go. That looks nice. Yeah, that looks great. And then I also like to go into the creative section here, and I like to add a LUTs. And again, I'm pretty sure I went over all the LUTs I like to use in the color correction video. Yeah, I'm positive I did. You can quote me on it, sir, ma'am, whoever, or you can leave a comment and let me know if I didn't, and I will go over LUTs in another video. But LUTs are just basically these really cool things that you can use to really quickly get a look to your footage. And so I like the Grayscale Gorilla LUTs. I'll just go in here, my LUT files, and I like to go to the basic, and I just like this cool clean look one. It's usually pretty good. Now it comes in at 100%, which of course we do not want. So I'm gonna put it down to 30, and I'll just show you on and off. So that's off, and that's on. And you can see it's very flattering on the skin tones, and it just sort of helps me pop from the background. So yeah, I would go through and I would color correct everything. I would then, you know, copy this and just put it on all of my A-roll footage, because all of my A-roll footage is the same. I will say sometimes the take is so long that maybe the sunlight changed a little bit, so I might have to tweak the exposure, but for the most part, this color correction should work on all of the A-roll. And I will give you another pro tip. I tend to shoot multiple videos in one day, and I'm lazy. So I will grab the color correction from the previous video I shot on the same day in the same setup, and I'll just use that. And sometimes maybe I tweak it a little bit, but generally it works. So the next step after color correcting the A-roll is I'd go through and I'd color correct the B-roll, and I would color correct this fun intro thing, which is a whole other thing. I'm not going to get into log stuff now, but once all of that is color corrected and I have all of my audio in there, my music, my sound effects, it's pretty much ready to go and export. So I will go over to my finished sequence, and I'll just unsolo these, and I will show you my export settings. So I'm going to go up to File, Export, Media, and we do not want AFF, we want H.264. And then I like to just use the YouTube 1080 preset, because why not? It's already there. And then the last thing I do is I am going to apply a LUT. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's been a problem with Premiere and Mac machines, specifically Mac. Don't worry, if you're PC, you probably don't have this problem. But specifically with Mac computers, there's like a weird color shift when you export out of Premiere, and they say that it's a Mac problem. So here's the thing I recommend is using a LUT on export. In the Effects tab here, I'm gonna select LUT, and I'm going to click down here and click Select, and I have my little LUT folder here, and I have this gamma compensation LUT here, because what happens is basically the saturation kind of gets desaturated on export, and the gamma isn't quite right, and it just looks washed out and bad. So I'm going to select this and click Open. And you'll see it be applied here and it'll instantly look like it's too dark. But don't worry, it's not gonna look like that on export. The LUT really works. I will put a link to it in the description below. I don't remember who made this LUT. I don't know if Adobe made it. I think Adobe might have made it and posted it on one of their forums. I found it through another YouTuber, so thank you, YouTuber. I don't remember your name, but thank you. I'll put a link to his video in the description below, but he is how I found the LUT. And then I just click export. And it's gonna export and it's gonna give me an MP4 file that's already compressed and ready for the web. So that is my whole editing process when I edit a video. Obviously it's different if I were editing a feature film or a short film, and maybe if you guys want to see that, I can try to do that sometime, but that would be a much longer video, but we'll see. So let me know if you want to see that in the comments below. If you want to see me edit like a scene from one of my films, maybe that we could do that. And let me know if you have any other questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Also, don't forget that you could support me on Patreon for the low cost of just $2 a month. And for that, you get early access to my videos, you can get my filmmaker templates for $5 a month, and for $10 a month, you can get access to my entire filmmaker chat archive where I interview other filmmakers so you can benefit from their sage wisdom. So yeah, that's it. My computer fan is kicking on now because it's exporting and it's taking up all of its life. So I'm going to give it a break for a little bit. So until next time, go film it yourself.